Hello everybody, so here is Black Angel again, and I'm here with a very quick video. It's probably going to be the longest of my videos because when I want to be quick I normally start rambling. Anyway, the point is that I've been thinking about introverted thinking and extroverted thinking, and about the reputation that these two functions have, in particular the reputation of introverted thinking. So what I've been thinking about specifically is that introverted thinking is normally the function of types that are considered rule breakers. So if we think of the ESTP or the ISTP, for example, they are normally rule breakers. They build their own rules. They're not types that follow the rules. They actually destroy rules, and they make up their own. They define their own rules. So this is what we know about introverted thinking types, that they are rule breakers. And I've been thinking quite a lot, because if you look around in society, it's not easy to spot this kind of type. Now, you're going probably to tell me, oh, well, that's not true, because there's a lot of people that do drugs, or a lot of people that rob or steal and that kind of stuff. No, that's not what being a TI type is about. It's not like a TI type is necessarily going to be someone that steals in shops, or someone that I don't know, doesn't stop with the red light at the traffic lights. That's not what introverted thinking is actually about. I think we better start from extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking is about rules, social rules. But the correct expression for what extroverted thinking is about is social norms. So if extroverted feeling is about social ethics, extroverted thinking is about social norms. So what are these social norms? Social norms are actually a concept, a very clear and very clearly defined concept in psychology, in general psychology. And whenever we're talking about social norms, so we're talking about that unspoken and underlying set of behaviors that are considered normal within a specific society. It's not about the 10 Commandments, like not stealing, not killing, not doing that kind of stuff. That's not what it is about. It's like, for example, saying please when you wanna get something, or no. I kind of come up with something actually, because there is no actual environment of the sort in the places where I enjoy staying and where I spend my time. So it's not easy for me to come up with examples of this sort. But when you go to a theater, not a movie theater, but a theater, you are supposed to follow a specific etiquette. You have to dress a specific way. There's a specific dress code. You have to behave a specific way, like you shouldn't speak loud. You should wait for the breaks before talking to your neighbors. There's a set of rules of behavior that are implicit and not explicitly stated unless requested, that you have to follow. Like, if you go to one of those clubs where there's breakdancing, there's normally no such thing as this kind of rule being there. But if you go to a very elitarian pink princess kind of place, a very rich oriented kind of environment, you will have a dress code. You will have to hold your glass a specific way. You will have to talk to people a specific way. All this kind of stuff that make up for the asset, for the rules of an environment. This is extroverted thinking. So what is an introverted thinking type about? Introverted thinking environments, on the other hand, are all those environments that are under the rules of a specific person, for example, or that do not have these codes to follow. For example, if you enter my channel, you don't have to be a specific type until you say something intelligent. You can say whatever the fuck you want. If you go to other people's channels, it's probably the same. So YouTube is more likely an introvert thinking environment because every YouTuber can actually make up their own rules. When you're going to stumble into an extroverted thinking YouTuber, that's where a specific behavior is going to be expected in the comment section. How do I explain that? Like, for example, yeah, I think I have it clear now, how to explain it. Extroverted thinking on YouTube thinks that anybody can say what they want, that any comment, positive or negative, should be allowed in the comment section, that even if it's insults, they have to appear in the comment section. This is extroverted thinking. It's social norms on YouTube. Introverted thinking YouTubers instead are going to restrict and use the comment section the way it is predisposed to actually restrict this kind of thing, or alter this kind of behavior that is normal in YouTube. That's why in my comment section you cannot write whatever the fuck you want, but you can write whatever the fuck you want only up until it is intelligent and it makes sense and it's worth attention. I filter comments and I do not want a war going on in my comment section based on bullshit, which is instead something that on general extroverted thinking YouTube is quite widespread. So the split is right there. So it's not about breaking the rules, like going against laws and ending up in jail, but it's rather about accepting or not accepting specific rules of behavior that are implicit within a society. So an introverted thinking type may be the person that arrives at the super elegant club and doesn't speak with a specific vocabulary. I think I have a much better example than that. That's quite mainstream. Imagine for a moment a goth club, a place where they play Gothic and or rock music anyway. Let's say a Gothic rock club where it's rock music going on. You're going to expect a specific kind of language down there, or anyway, a specific kind of behavior. Everybody's going to be subdued. Everybody's going to speak with very calm tones. Everybody's going to have this very vampire-like demeanor, even though they are in the rock realm, even if they are rockers. So you're going to have the how do I say that? The damned ones. So those that anyway are going to display this dark facade. The little oh my god, it's funny. The little perky goth that enters the club and starts laughing loud and hopping around and jumping like crazy is an introverted thinking type. Extroverted thinkers consider introverted thinking types as disrupting the atmosphere and disturbing the environment. So an introverted thinking type entering an extroverted thinking environment is going to be that crazy person that does everything different from everybody else, that doesn't make sense within the environment, and that won't simply do things normally. So if there is some sort of general view that a girl that talks to a guy wants to lay him, and this person doesn't give a fucking damn about that rule and speaks with whoever the fuck that she wants, so this girl, she is going to be considered a weirdo, she's going to be considered a loose cannon, she's going to be considered a problem. That's an introverted thinking person. That's where introverted thinking starts having problem and starts having being kicked out of societies and so on. The introverted thinker is going to disrupt social norms. So these implicit roles of behavior that are foreseen within any set society. So it's not about being a nonconformist by itself. An introverted thinker may actually even quite conform in the appearance, like some ESFJs are more in tune with the pretty pink princess kind of thing, and they can actually look quite mainstream in appearance, even though they are introverted thinkers. But when it comes to hitting on a guy or awaiting specific behaviors from them, they're not going to submit to that, and they're going to disrupt the expectation. They're actually pretty anal about that. Anyway, they are very hostile towards extrovert thinking, extroverted feeling dominance. So they're going to be loud, they're going to be jolly, they're going to be smiling a lot, which is something that extroverted thinking doesn't appreciate much. So they're going to be loud, they're going to be nasty, they're going to make jokes, so they're going to create a very positive, a very merry and joyful environment. That's a specific trait of ESFJs, that you have to have a very positive inner attitude to follow them, because they're actually they're like Quicksilver. They're extremely joyful, and when you put that kind of person with a normal appearance in any society, you get like this pinball ball that has nothing to do with the environment around them, that is going to disrupt the atmosphere, create an environment that was not there before, and these people cannot stand because it looks fake to them, or it looks wrong to them, and they're going to be highly harassed, and they're not going to give a damn because they care so much about others. They're so warm-hearted towards others, and they're going to just be weirded out that they're not accepted as they should be. And yeah, so that's what happens with introverted thinking. But the most important thing is actually to talk about ISTPs. I'm not going to call INTPs into question, because INTPs, if they join a society, it means that the black matter and the whole cosmos has imploded, and existence basically doesn't exist anymore, so they do not have anything to research about, and therefore they decided to just simply join a society that basically doesn't exist, because if existence doesn't exist anymore, they cannot possibly join a society. Anyway, yeah, ISTPs ignore these rules. So the two worst type that you can encounter, the three actually worst type in this sense that you can encounter, are an ESTP, an ISTP, and an ENTP. So these three guys all together are the nightmare of extroverted thinkers. And I'm not sure about INFJs, because INFJs actually are said to follow somehow subconsciously whatever it is that other people are doing. So they're somehow followers in this sense. I'm not sure about that because they're TE vulnerable. But anyway, what the theory says is that they're not inclined to disrupt the social norms, or to go in the face of an extroverted thinker and debate their social norms. And that's not what an INFJ would do, whereas these other three types would. And that's where chaos gets started, because extroverted thinking types are the order types. They create external order. Whereas ESTPs, ISTPs, and ENTPs are order disruptors. So they are the chaos type. So whenever they arrive, they're going to, well, a debate between an ESTP and an ESTJ could go like this. The ESTJ looks at the ESTP and goes like, what the fuck are you doing sitting on the floor? What would it become if everybody sat on the floor? And the ESTP would look at the ESTJ and answer, well, it would become a place where everybody's sitting on the floor. What's the problem? I don't know, if you're an extrovert thinker, you're probably like retorting on your chair and throwing stuff at me. If you are an introverted thinker type, you probably didn't catch the drift. But that's quite a big thing. Like, for the extroverted thinker, it is unthinkable that one person just thinks differently, because that could disrupt the whole rule system. Whereas for the introverted thinker, the problem is, what the fuck of a problem is it if I do whatever the fuck I want? The normal ESTP kind of behavior or kind of mental attitude is the following. You have, for example, Twilight or 50 Shades or this kind of mainstream things, or Disney cartoons and all the kind of stuff. Extroverted thinking types either don't watch this thing if they are in a group that doesn't, or if they are in a group that accepts it, they follow it very closely. So it depends where you belong. And okay, now remember that every single person belongs to more than just one setting. So in any setting, things change. So how does that work? For the extroverted thinker, it becomes important to say, oh, I don't follow the big brother, when everybody's saying, I don't follow the big brother. Whenever they are in this environment where some people follow the big brother, they will retain their internal rule that they shouldn't follow the big brother. But instead of going against the group, they're going to rather say, oh, well, I never watched it, but I saw this thing, I heard this, and they probably watched the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, it's not like an extrovert thinking type will never do anything against rules. They just won't say it most of the time. That's what I've noticed. It's not that they don't necessarily do that, but anyway, when it comes to sharing, they homologate to the majority. An extroverted thinking type will watch the thing for knowledge reasons. I cannot judge something I haven't seen, and I cannot have an opinion about something by listening to what others think of that thing. I have to watch it and decide for myself what it is that I think of that thing. This is introverted thinking. So the introverted thinking type is going to watch 50 Shades and say, well, I see that it's about this and that it hits those and those points of society's issues, but it's not really my thing. If everybody's watching 50 Shades, the introverted thinker is still going to say it's not my thing. Then maybe 2 days after, they're going to watch Harry Potter, and they're like, oh, I like this thing because it's actually quite innovative and it has this thing and that thing, and I find it quite interesting. It's intriguing, and then there is this fantasy streak. I like it. It's a new genre. It's something that appeals to me, so I really enjoyed it. And they're not going to become a Potterhead or anything, but they're going to be very appreciative of that thing for the reasons that they found. And whenever they're in an environment where everybody's saying, oh, Harry Potter sucks, they're going to say, well, I like it. Why not? So that's the introverted thinker. They do not follow implicit rules of behavior. Now, it's possible that you're not completely aware of these rules existing. I wish there was an ESTJ watching me, because they would see the clash between the two categories pretty clearly. It's actually something that they are predisposed to handle in a way. Like, they are, from my perspective, the other side of the coin. So they are looking after these rules of behavior, the social norms. They are the keepers of social norms. So I'm pretty sure that they would understand pretty clearly what I'm talking about here. And this is a very important split, and I thought to share these thoughts because it is very widespread to think that to be an introverted thinker, you have to be a rule breaker, meaning that you have tattoos and piercings, and you have to beat up people down the road and stuff like that. That's not how things are. And that's not how the theory works. The split is actually about social norms. So the application or non-application of social norms. How do introverted thinking types go about in society? Introverted thinking types submit to extroverted feeling. Extroverted feeling, I described it shortly with the example of the ESFJ, is about the welfare of the social setting. So not welfare meaning financial welfare, but the emotional welfare. So it has to be the greater good. So whatever is in line with the greater good is okay for an introverted thinker. I'm thinking of the Descendants because the isle, where all the kids, all the villains live, is actually a very introverted thinking environment. It's anarchy, basically. But it's a kind of anarchy that actually has some sort of feeling of general attitude going in a specific direction. So if you look at this society in general on the Isle, if you ever watched Descendants, if you pay attention to the life on the Isle, there is no actual rule on how you have to behave. And you see that in looking at the four kids. There's a thief, there's one that nobody knows what the fuck he does as a villain. He's basically a coward, and he's very, very, very fearful. It's Carlos. So the thief is Jay. Then there's Carlos. Then there's Evie, that she's a manipulator. She's basically a villain, meaning that she's a succubus, so to speak. She represents the succubus. Then we have the villain leader, that is Mal. And Mal is basically the evil witch, the evil fairy, the person that goes after her own agenda. But her agenda is actually the group's agenda, the gang's agenda. So that's something every single person on the isle has their specific set of rules. It's not like two people follow the same set of rules. Everybody has the same rules. Everybody has their own rules, but they all follow this idea of the villain society, of anarchy, preserving anarchy. So the greater good in that sense is seen as preserving their sense of being a villain, their sense of evil, and being and the anarchy that they live on the Isle. So it's not an easy place to be for someone that is used to thinking in terms of rules, of social norms, but it's a complete absence of social norms, actually. So nobody gets punished for anything until they're behaving according to the greater good, whatever this greater good is seen as. So yeah, like I said, one of my longest videos, but this is everything I have to share for the moment about this topic, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.